Dr. Wang, this is such a deeply personal story. What was it like emotionally seeing your journey on the big screen?
I think it's such a unique experience that very few of us could actually have a chance to experience this, to see my life in the past got replayed. It's like rewinding and replayed it and asking myself, could I have done this better? Could I have done that better? And uh, it's a privilege, it's an honor to work with world-class artists such as Terry, Greg Kinnear, and to see my story on the big screen.
Yeah, Terry, you just did such an incredible job. You really embodied Dr. Wang and just this incredible story. How did the themes of faith and resilience influence your performance and approach to this film?
I really leaned on Dr. Wang and his presence on set. I mean, he was there every day. We shot during the pandemic, so we had weeks of quarantine and some downtime because of that. So it was incredible to have these conversations of faith and spirituality with Dr. Wang and see his resilience and tenacity in pursuing what he wanted to pursue after coming to America. Um, the words just jumped off the page for me initially when I first read the script, and I had a fantastic collaborative conversation with our writer director Andrew Hyatt at the time, and then met Dr. Wang later when we shot in Vancouver. But it was just such a, again, privilege and honor to step into this role and to represent, such an esteemed man in his field.
What was that journey like personally? It had to have been transformative, stepping into Dr. Wang's shoes and reliving all these experiences. What was that like spiritually for you?
It was very emotional. I'm still on my spiritual journey. I think that will be something that will be going on for the rest of my life. It also made me face a lot of my own traumas and questions that I've had, throughout the better part of my life as well, and brought them into sharp focus and given me inspiration to follow some different paths that I may have not walked down before.
Absolutely. Now, Dr. Wang, Sight has a strong message about trusting God through life's trials. How has your faith shaped your personal and professional journey? Because you've really been through some hard things.
Yeah, the biggest impact of being a Christian in the last many decades is make me, number one, more humble to recognize we are as human beings, we are ultimately limited. We have to be willing to ask God for help. And
Mm.
second is to recognize that science and faith do work together. Science gives us the tools. You got to have the real skill, to be the top in your field. But at the same time, faith give me a higher purpose. In my case, all these studies, the skills I learned during training, medical training, God is calling me to help those who need the most help, which are blind orphan children, which you see in the movie and in my autobiography book.
Yeah, Dr. Wang, in a culture where we're so intent on climbing the corporate ladder and finding, success, what challenge do you want to give to those, especially in the medical community, believers to care for the least of these, the poor and widowed, the blind, who God really calls us to care for?
I think the main challenge I want to uh, pose to my colleagues, scientific colleagues, doctors and researchers, and myself, is that just because we develop a technology doesn't mean that technology is accessible for by those who needs the most and who least can afford it. So not only we have the responsibility to advance science and technology and create new methods of treatment, new medication and surgeries, but we also have to worry about those who need that the most. In
Mhm.
the science film is talk about blind orphan children. It's hard to imagine more deserving human beings who need more help are getting the least of it, blind orphan children.
Yes, absolutely. Now, Terry, were there any particular scenes that were especially impactful for you or difficult to film?
I think the scenes between myself and my father.
Mhm.
I think that the relationship between Dr. Wang and his father was such a pivotal one in shaping Dr. Wang's perseverance, belief in faith, and belief in himself. it really set him on a path for the rest of his life. And my own experience with my father is quite an emotional one. So those scenes really hit home for me, and I think that we were able to capture some of those really authentic emotions that came through with the father-son relationship.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with you. I thought those were so impactful. Dr. Wang, what do you hope viewers who watch this movie, what do you hope that they're thinking about, talking about?
I hope the biggest thing people will get after watching Film Sight is realize that even though we're living in a world today full of conflict, sometimes bloodshed, and some of the dark parts of the world with wars and uh, the people killing each other and all the bloodshed, to realize that we as human beings, we need to change ourselves. We need to, rather than fixate on differences, we should realize that we have such a shared humanity on this little flying rock called Earth. We need to appreciate our humanity and be more willing to work together. And what's a better way of bringing out that message of hope and vision for common ground than a story of immigrant who used to not have freedom to remind us how blessed we are living in a country with freedom and how much we need to appreciate.
And Terry, Dr. Wang is obviously such an incredible man who's done such incredible work. What do you want audiences to know about him that maybe isn't portrayed in the film?
I would love audiences to know that all the stories that you hear about Dr. Wang, his altruism, his faith, his tenacity are all true. But not only that, during the 6-week shoot, Dr. Wang made himself available to the cast and crew. So while we were shooting this film, he set up a table where he was doing his medical work aside. And then he would have a line of crew and certain cast that would come up and ask him questions about either their own personal struggles with sight or their families' struggles with sight. And Dr. Wang helped every single one of them. So this is a man who has such an open, generous heart, who shares his faith, who shares his ideologies in such a way where, it's such an honor and a privilege, to even be beside him right now and to portray this man because of how many millions of people he's helped through his incredible foundation in Nashville.
Absolutely. And Dr. Wang, what advice do you have for young believers who want to enter the medical field and really be the hands and feet of Jesus like you have been throughout your career?
I would say most important is you have to be really good in what you do first. There's no weaker statement of faith than someone who is a Christian but yet couldn't do his or her job well. Because people watch what we do than what we say. So be the best in your field, and then use that as a springboard to launch your faith journey and to influence others. So be good at what you do.
Wonderful. Thank you both so much. It was nice to meet you.
Thank you. Have a great day.